Today on the table I brought you the Ruger EC9S and the Walther PPS M2. You will see a price split of about $120, the Walther being about $120 more than the Ruger. And that's really the question. Is that $120 worth it? Or should you go with the cheaper firearm? Specs, the Ruger is a lighter firearm. It's also shorter. It's not as tall, even with the magazine out. Width, they're pretty close to the same. The Walther definitely has much better sights. You get a 3-dot system, very easy to pick up. The Ruger, it's just these black open sights. They kind of suck. Trigger brake. PPS M2. Brake's okay. I call it a nice middle-of-the-road brake. The Ruger, brake's pretty good, but there's something weird going on. When the trigger brakes, watch the slide, it actually moves. So no matter what, it doesn't matter how good the trigger is, with the slide moving and your sights moving, it's going to affect your accuracy. So I got to give the trigger brake to the PPS M2. Both of them are not second strike capable. Your PPS trigger reset. Right there. And then your brake again. Ruger. Much longer trigger reset. Much longer pull again. I'll definitely be able to put more accurate fire down range, especially in a time situation with the PPS M2. The Ruger's sights are non-adjustable either. These are a part of the frame. Your Walther sights, you can drift them for windage adjustment. You don't have an elevation adjustment, but you can also change out the sights for night sights if you'd like. The Ruger, you can't even change these out the front sight for a night sight. So no matter what, you are stuck with these sights. The Ruger does have an external safety, very hard to put on, which is actually a good thing because you don't want to accidentally put it on. Very easy to come off. Slide release. I can't use it. And it is supposed to be a slide release because it does have texture on top, so that kind of sucks. Magazine release from your normal shooting position. Very difficult to use. Not a fan of it at all. Walther. Slide release. Very easy to hit. Mag release. Also very easy to use. Takedown of the firearm, without a doubt the Walther superior. This breaks down just like a Glock. Pull the trigger. Pull your tabs down. Slide comes off. The Ruger, not so much. I had to actually pull out the owner's manual because there's a whole bunch of different safeties. I'm not even going to start. You can just watch a tutorial video, but you gotta have the magazine in, and then you gotta take the magazine out, and then you gotta put the magazine back in, and then you gotta dry fire it, and you gotta pull this pin out, and you have extra pieces laying around. Terrible design. Ruger doesn't put a polish on their feed ramp or inside their chamber. PPS M2 does have a polish on the feed ramp and the chamber. The finish, the PPS M2 is far superior. I don't actually know what finish is on here, but it looks a lot nicer. The Ruger is just a blued finish. When you purchase the firearms, with your PPS M2 you get a very nice hard case. Hinged in the back, hinged in the front, exactly what you'd like to see. Owner's manual. Firearms lock, range flag, and then you get a smaller 6-round magazine. It'll sit flush in the firearm, so if you're carrying it, you can make the overall package just a little bit smaller, but you don't get pinky purchase. With the Ruger, you don't get a second magazine. You get a fake magazine, which you almost have to use for disassembly because of how complicated the process is. Owner's manual. You do get a pretty awesome Ruger sticker, though. So that's awesome. Firearms lock. Range flag. And then you get a different base plate, so if you don't want your pinky extension on there, you can put on the different base plate, making it flush, just a little bit smaller. Basically the same concept as the Walther. Now the Walther with your extended magazine, you get a 7-round capacity. The Ruger with the only magazine you get is a 7-round capacity. Like I said, you can switch out the base plate and run this flush. So you can have more ammunition in a smaller package with the Ruger. The Ruger, not only does it have a safety, which I'm not a fan of, it's also got a magazine disconnect. They just went ahead and California'd this bad boy up. Now I took this apart, obviously, because I said to pull out the owner's manual and everything. But anyway, trying to figure out why the slide moves when you pull the trigger. I can't figure it out. I'm assuming it's all this ridiculous California crap on here interacting with each other that pushes up on the slide or something. But terrible design. Regardless how good you are, this is going to affect your accuracy because your sights are literally moving when you pull the trigger. There's no way to compensate for that. Texture, the Walther is pretty slippery. I mean, does it really matter? No, not unless you get blood on your hands. The Walther magazine release is reversible, so you can put it to either side. Your slide release is only on the one side, though. But if you're left-handed, you could still slingshot it and be able to use your mag release. This would kind of work for a left-handed shooter. Ruger, no. Your slide release is only on one side. Your mag release is only on one side, and your safety is only on one side. So if you're left-handed, this is not a good pick for you. Slide serrations, they are cut properly at a good angle. They seem to grip okay. You don't get any front slide serrations on the Ruger. There's a whole bunch of warnings in the warning manual, like you're not supposed to put your hands up here to rack it. You're not supposed to hit the back of the slide if it's not all the way into battery. You're not supposed to drop it because it could discharge. It just makes me feel very unconfident with the firearm. Walther slide release in the front and the back. I don't really use front slide serrations, but it is kind of cool to have. I mean, you know, what if you want to do a press check or something? Neither firearm has an accessory rail. So, which one would I pick? Yes, without a doubt, the Ruger's going to carry better. It's smaller, it's lighter, you get more ammunition in a smaller package, so that is a huge plus. Not to mention it's a whole lot cheaper. The Walther, much higher in craftsmanship. This firearm is just put together overall better than the Ruger, without a question. You do get an option for 2 different capacities, but you're going to pay for a lot of this stuff. It's a heavier firearm. Yeah, it's got a nicer finish. Trigger brake, I feel, is better because of the whole slide moving thing. And then just the overall trigger brake, I feel, is better. You also get a hard case. Second magazine. So myself, without a doubt, I'd pony up the extra $120 and get this firearm. Not to mention, it's a hell of a lot better looking. The white lettering just looks better. The overall firearm design just looks better. This looks like crap. It really does. The styling's just horrible. All that California crap, not a fan of it at all. You can't never change out your sights, so you're stuck with what you got, and a lot of people like to modify their firearms. So yes, without a doubt, I would pick the Walther. If you'd like to check out my other videos, click on the cards up here. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.